I set up some very challenging criteria and I stuck to those criteria.
Yeah.
We want to buy from distressed sellers. We do not want to be distressed sellers.
There are quite a few good points that I need to think more in depth with my head, not with my heart.
Do not expect to flip it quickly. If you are in COVID, sure, you could think of it that way.
I want this one to be the real deal.
I see what you did there. Nice. I like it. I like it a lot. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for agreeing to join us today.
My pleasure.
This is Gabriela. Now, she has agreed to come on what is the first video for this channel. So, huge shout out to her. And yeah, thanks for being here. I understand that you live here in Dubai with us.
Yes, been living here for the last 11 years.
11 years. Okay,
Yes.
so you're a veteran.
Yes.
You're basically a Dubai resident at this point.
Yeah, I can be a tour guide as well.
Be a tour guide. There you go. We'll put your Instagram down below and then you can cross.
Yeah.
Have you been interested in investing before? Have you been? What's your background? Give me something.
Yes, I've been living here for 11 years. About 5 years ago, I just bought my first apartment in
Okay.
Dubai. So I live in that apartment. So that's why at this moment, I feel like I want to take the next step.
Okay.
So I want to buy something as an investment. So
Okay.
now I want this one to be the real deal.
I see what you did there. Nice. I like it. I like it a lot. So you've already bought a place.
Yes.
Okay. So, and can you tell me something about this place that you bought so far?
So it's a place in Meydan, in Nada Shiba in Polo Residence. It's a one-bedroom apartment. I bought it in 2018 when the market at that time was considered a bit high.
Yeah.
Then it went down and now it's again up. So I think I did a good deal.
Yeah. Did you buy it outright or on a mortgage?
On a mortgage, yes.
All right.
Yes.
So where are we on that mortgage now?
I finished.
You finished the mortgage.
Yes.
Oh, so you're
So,
net free as
yes,
far as this
yes.
apartment is concerned.
Yes.
And do you do any other investments?
A little bit. I just start buying some stocks here and there. So,
Okay.
but it's
That's
very
good. Diversification.
Just very,
That's
very at the beginning.
No, that's fine. I'm going to tell you why she's already at a really good place to start off on, because not only has she bought a property, but she's bought a property and paid it off completely. Now, some people might say, you could keep the loan because it's low interest and then you could leverage your money. Sure. But here's why what she's done is good. Right now, and this is the question on everybody's lips, is it the right time to buy? That's because everyone's expecting maybe the market will fall a little bit, maybe it won't. We don't know for sure. But whether it does or not, you don't care.
Yeah.
One, you're not paying rent. So first of all, your outgoings are lower than it would have been otherwise. Two, you're not beholden to any bank.
Yeah.
So whether your property goes down in value or up, you don't have to pay the bank anything. So you're free of that. And three, if God forbid something like COVID happens again, which I really hope it doesn't, but if it does
Yeah.
and you lose your job, again, God forbid, if you leave the country, you can still hold on to your property, you can rent it out, and that'll give you a little bit of passive income. It may not give you much, it may give you a lot. I don't know the details,
We'll
but
see.
it'll give you something,
Yeah.
which, I mean, is better than nothing. So in every situation, what she's done is she's invested into the market, not wasted any time. She's become relatively financially independent, depending on how much the incoming is and how much her expenses are. And she's insulated herself from market risk by paying off her loan. So a lot of people will say, don't pay off your low interest loan early. And that's right. But there are clear advantages to doing so. And I'm glad you're at this stage because you're already starting off at a really good point. Now, you want to buy another place.
Yeah.
So tell me what you.
So this time I want to do things differently.
Okay, let's talk about it. What do you want to
Differently than like in the previous experience, because on that one I remember at some point last year my mortgage interest rate went up to 7.5,
Oh, yes.
which that scared me a lot. So I
Yep.
still had some savings. So that was the main idea why I said, okay, I don't want to pay that much interest. I'm going to go and pay it off, although it was not a lot more
Okay.
to pay off. So yeah, this time what I'm planning to do is to invest in a property and then just try the rent
Yeah.
to pay off the mortgage and maybe some extra if I'm lucky.
Yeah, no, that's the idea, right? So here's how we're going to go about it. I'm going to write down what kind of property you're looking for. And then we're going to discuss this thing about how to manage your outgoings with respect to rent and without rent. And we'll talk about how you can plan what to shoot for, which will A, not only give you value and rental income, but B, insulate you from any further market downturn. Like you said, if the interest rates go up or if the market tumbles, you shouldn't be affected. So we'll try and come up with a strategy or a bunch of things to look for that'll help us narrow down these properties. So first thing is, what kind of property are you looking for?
Maybe studio or 1 bedroom.
Okay, studio 1 bedroom, excellent. I like the idea, usually studio is very good. I like the idea of 1 bedroom a little bit better, only because it's very versatile. At the end of the day, we might go with the studio. But the thing about a 1 bedroom is, if you're one person, a 1 bedroom fine. If you're 2 people, a 1 bedroom fine. If you're 3 bachelors, even then a 1 bedroom can work, which means a lot of the market can rent out a 1 bedroom a lot easier than a 2 bed or a 3 bed. And it's still got a little more space than a studio. So I like that. I think that's a bit of a sweet spot when it comes to renting out. The reality is studios also rent out just fine. So, there's multiple strategies. But this is cool. Okay, studio to 1 bedroom. So clearly, rental return investment. What price points?
Yeah,
areas?
definitely price.
Okay, price. So what kind of price are you looking?
So for example, as a down payment, because I know you need like about 20% down payment.
I don't know where you guys are watching it. The rules change based on which country you're from. But in the UAE, if you have only one loan, you can get up to 80%. And they'll usually throw in an extra 4% or so to pay for registration charges and whatnot. But if you have more than one loan, then it's down to 50% usually. So you can you have to be ready to chuck off. But in your case, you're fully paid up.
Yeah.
That's it. You can get the full 80%. That's awesome. Okay. So then what kind of price point are we looking at? Just to get an idea?
700-800.
700-800. Okay. 7 to 800K in the market for a studio or a 1 bedroom. Excellent. So I'm assuming you have 20% of that ready.
Yeah.
Roughly, plus another 4% for registration charges, plus 2% for agency fees. So you need 26% plus a few thousand here. There we will have for service charges and outstanding charges and whatnot. So 26%, you're ready with that much. 26% of 700 to 800K is doable right now.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Fantastic. This is enough for us to get started. The first thing I want you to think about is just keep your budget aside for a second, and whatever you make, are you able to live within 50% of that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Great. Oh, yeah, definitely is exactly what I want to hear. Not, oh, probably. Oh, yeah, definitely is exactly what I want to hear. People in their early 20s may not be able to say that. That's understandable. That's okay. But you want to try and get to the point where your expenses, all your expenses, conservatively, in a bad time where bread costs too much, even then, is not more than 50% of what you, ideally 30%, but aim for 50% in your lower 20s at least. Once you've gotten to that point, what I want you to do is basically set up a budget such that the monthly interest, because you're going for a mortgage, right?
Yeah.
The monthly payments are no more than 25% of your total income. What this does is basically you can live on 50% and you've got 50% remaining. Out of the remaining 50%, you're only spending half to furnish this house. You can spend more if you get a particular good deal, but I'm just setting out a rough guideline. You can, you can do 30%, 40% if you find a really good deal, but I'm just saying this is a good rule of thumb in my opinion. So 25% of your salary as your monthly outgoing is what you can set towards this house, and you can work backwards. So like a 500,000 dirham, $150,000 house here, flat studio, what have you, will come out to about 2,200 to 2,500 per month monthly thing. So if you have a salary of 10,000, for example, that'll take up 25%.
Yeah.
So your budget should be 500. If you earn more, your budget can be more. No worries. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm just trying to give you the sort of what I consider to be the safe option. What you do with the remaining 25% that's still left over, don't blow it on something silly. You want to keep it to the end of the year, and then you have options. Either you can continue investing in stocks and ETFs because diversification is important. All eggs in one basket, never a great idea. And you can also have the option of paying back your mortgage to a certain degree at the end of the month, the end of the year, which will reduce your risk over a period of 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, you're young, you can get a 20-25 year loan, no problems. Would you consider paying it off early, or would you let the thing run for 20 years?
Well, depends. I mean, I haven't decided yet. What do you think?
So if your interest is 1-2%, let it run. It doesn't matter. But if your interest is 5-6%, maybe it's a good idea to pay it off so you're paying less interest over 10-20 years.
Yeah.
Now, the advantages to paying off your loan is, well, for one thing, if the property market goes down tomorrow, which it can. There's no denying it. Dubai is a little bit volatile. It has ups and downs. If it goes down tomorrow, and if the rents go down tomorrow, because you have paid off your mortgage, your monthly installments are lower, so the rent you get will still be able to pay it, so you're not touching your savings, which is very, very important. Also, always, everything comes down to risk management. If you lose your job, what will happen? The number one thing we don't want is to be in a position where we have to sell our property in a distressed sale, where you just need the money. We love those people. We want to buy from those people. We never want to be those people.
True.
With all due respect to those people, maybe life will look up after in a year or two, but right now, I want to look for those people and get those deals. Okay, so based on that, I'm assuming that this 7 to 800K, which should set you back about 3,500 dirhams a month on your payments, that's okay with you.
Yeah.
That's less than 50% of your salary and hopefully less than 25% of your salary. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay, then we're in a good space. Now we start looking at which properties. Now, you sent me a property earlier, yes?
Yeah.
We've been in touch a little bit and she WhatsApped me this property that I think is a little bit interesting. Can you tell us a little something about this?
I think it's a one bedroom apartment in JVC, about 550.
500K? Okay, so now that we've set up how much money we want to spend, the next thing is what's good for us.
Yeah.
So here's how we go about it.
Yeah.
The first thing you do is location. And when you think of location, there are two things you must look for. One, popularity, and two, premium. Ideally, we have both, but depending on your price point, you may not be able to get both. One or the other can be a good idea. So, in your opinion, I believe the thing you sent me was in Sports City. What do you think of when you think of Sports City?
I mean, to be honest, I think I've been in that area once or twice in my life, so I don't really have a good idea. So probably now that I'm in the process of researching it, I should go and have a look.
Okay, no, yeah, you should, absolutely.
Yeah.
Driving around an area is a great idea to get a feel from an emotional perspective, but we'll try and look at it from a data-driven perspective so that, we get some irrefutable ideas as to what might be good or bad. Now, in this case, right next to Sports City is Jumeirah Village Circle and Motor City, right next to that.
Yeah.
Do you have any opinions on, have you been to these areas?
To JVC, yeah, but as well, yeah. Just to visit some friends.
What about Sports City?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. So here's what I'm going to say. Going by the data, Sports City is an area that a lot of people live in. However, the two areas that I mentioned that are right next door, literally opposite side of the road, are both significantly greater in population density. Now, there could be a number of factors, number of buildings and so on, but Jumeirah Village Circle and Sports City sort of came up at the same time. And these stats are all available on the Dubai government websites, by the way. Along the same timeline, a far greater number of people, I think at least 30-40% more people live in JVC rather than Sports City. And you might say, okay, but that's because JVC is a little bit closer to town. Okay, but that still makes it more popular, right? And on the flip side, you've got Motor City, which is not closer to town and is still more populated. To me, that tells me that Sports City could be a good option, but both these areas seem to be more popular. And to my mind, that means that maybe they'll rent out a little bit easier when it comes time to rent. Or, because it's popular, they might even get a slightly higher rent. So those are the areas that I would look at, right? So now, if you look at JVC and Sports City, the next thing we do is figure out our sort of price points. Now let's look at some properties, right? I don't know what website you use.
I was searching on both, but to be honest, I think I found more on Beirut than on this one. I don't know, maybe.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. What we find is you can use either website you want. The first thing you do is you select two tabs, open two tabs, one for buy, one for rent. Then Property Finder actually has this little tool that makes this easier for you. Eventually, I think I'll get them to sponsor me because let's go to the buy tab. Let's say JVC, let's say apartment, and let's say studio and one bedroom. Or let's say one bedroom first.
Yeah.
And we search, and we immediately put a price cap of 800,000. And there we go. And we hit find and we get some options. First thing you want to do is do not sort by featured, sort by newest, because you don't want to see a listing that's 6 months old, that's at a really good price, and then that's not available anymore. That's pointless.
Yeah.
Right? So what you want to do is see what's available now. And if you like, now we can see properties that are already ready, or we can see properties that are about to be ready.
Yeah.
For now, just to keep things simple, let's see things that are just ready already. So you see this bit over here? You click on show more and it gives you all the latest apartments and whatnot. And there's a lot, right? Automatically, this is really, really hard to see. But if here you go see something like Emar, see something like Ellington, a really known builder, then that brings us to the second part. So first thing is we see the area and we check for popularity based on the statistics, and we check for premium. Is the area considered premium? Like, would you say downtown is more premium than Maidan?
Yeah, definitely.
Possibly.
Yeah.
At least that's the perception.
Yeah.
Right? There's great stuff in Maidan, but the perception is that it's more. So, which means someone renting will also have that perception. Someone buying from you in the future will also have that perception. So, it's definitely a good idea to keep that in mind. It's not to say you can't find good deals elsewhere, but this is just to insulate yourself in the future. The next thing is the property in question. Is it a unknown developer? I see a lot of names here that I don't recognize, but then I see some names that I do recognize, right?
Yeah.
Recognizable names over unrecognizable names. This stuff is very basic, but it really, really does help. So I'm going to, this is far too much.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say show less, and I'm going to go to more filters, and I'm going to say ready properties. Now we have only 953 results. Yay! Okay. So it's still sort by newest, and now we've got ready properties, and there we go. So National Bonds Residents, no idea, never heard of them. You could look at them, but if you don't know what they are, go to things that you know first. And let's say we know this, Gardenia, Emirates Garden 1. I don't, but I'm just saying, this is something you know. Or let's try and find something we do know, actually, just for the benefit of the viewers as well. Diamond Views, I know that one. Bingati Nova. Okay, Bingati is a relatively newer builder. They do okay stuff, but they're developing a little bit of a presence in the market. So maybe they have some nicer stuff. I happen to know someone who's living in a Bingati as well.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing. I'm not a civil engineer. I can't tell you if the construction quality is great or not, but it's certainly not the worst thing, and it's got a little bit of a name now. Okay. You can see that this is a resale property. They're asking for 790,000 and it is 635 square foot. Now, normally people will say, what is the price per square foot? Instead, I'm going to go down and get to the bottom of this place here and look at the last few transactions. So, last transaction for 721 square foot, which is kind of roughly where we are, was 960,000. Before that, it was 745,000 for 682 square foot. This is 635. This is smaller than all of this. Smaller than 672 square foot. I would say 700,000 can be a decent thing to aim for. All these transactions are this year. Or all these this year. So 785 for 672 square foot. 634 square foot. Maybe aim for 700. Okay. Now you see over here there's a rented for. That doesn't seem to be there. That tells me either they don't have the data for whatever reason, or they just haven't updated it.
Yeah.
Or it's a brand new building.
Do you look as well at the year, especially for Dubai? Like now that I started to search, I tend to look at the year when the building was built.
You can.
I don't know. Is that
a bias against old buildings? Basically, you want a newer building or what?
I mean, I don't know. I'm still in the process of researching. So
no, that's fine. But
why you look at? Like, would you
when the property was?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, most of Dubai is not more than 15, 20 years old. So as of right now, it doesn't make as much of a difference. 10 years from now, it might start to make a difference if old properties start to show age in a very meaningful way. So far, I don't think they have. The only thing that's happened is certain older buildings are made to older standards, which means the cladding is more susceptible to catching fire. But a lot of these buildings don't have any cladding, so it doesn't. So I personally don't look at the year so far. Maybe in the future I will.
Yeah.
But right now, it's more price performance, how much rent you can get for the money. And this one, it looks like a brand new building. So maybe that doesn't even matter. So you get a brand new building inside your budget for 635,000, but we don't know how much it rents for because it's a brand new building. So what we need to see is go to maps, see buildings around the area, see what they're renting for.
Yeah.
And here's the crucial thing. Whatever they're renting for, discount it by 20%. Why would we do that?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, because of the one thing that everybody's asking these days, is it a good time to buy? Because the property prices, let's face it, they're at an all-time high. They're higher than they were in 2016. To me, what that means is there is a possibility that it might fall a little bit. Now, during COVID, we saw a lot of things fall to like 40-50% of their initial value. But generally speaking, it wasn't more than that, which means short of a black swan event, I don't expect anything to go down more than 20-30%. So what I do is take a rent, knock it down by about 20-25% and see if that still works for me, and judge the price I want to pay based on that rent. It might not always work out. So for example, let's call it 800,000 for easy mathematics.
Yeah.
I would hope that it rents out for 80,000. I know for a fact that it probably will not.
No.
But I might get 65,000, which is still not bad, right? That is roughly 8% return.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. 65,000 for 80, I'm okay with that. But if I want to knock off another 10-15% off of that, or 20% off of that, then that brings in under 55,000. So and this is in theory, if I manage to buy this instead of 800,000, if I get it for 550,000, then even if the rent goes down to 55,000 tomorrow, I get 10% return. Even if the rent goes down to 65,000, it's already at 65. If it goes down to 55,000, and if I pay instead of 800, I pay 650, that's still 8% net return, which is still okay for me.
Yeah.
So I don't look at the price. I look at the rent. I reduce it by 15-20%, and then I times that by 10 or 50 or 10 or 13 to get an idea of what I want to pay. That doesn't mean you'll get this price all the time, and that doesn't mean you have to do this. But if you happen to get this, then that's a win-win. And there are two ways to get this. One, you got to look for a distressed sale or a motivated seller. And believe me, in this market, it's much easier to find motivated sellers. People say, no, it's a seller's market, you won't find it. That's not true. Here's what happens. You have an investor. He has already bought the property at a significantly lower price off plan, which means under construction. Now the property is completing and his payments are due. The remaining 30, 40, 50% is due. He's an investor. He doesn't want to pay that. He wants to leverage the payment plan and then offload it and make some profit. What you tell him is, look, I get that you're making profit. Instead of 800, you give it to me for, 650. He might not say yes, but he might come down some. You start bargaining somewhere there, and maybe he comes down to 700. You still get a better deal. He still makes money. You are more insulated against the market now. And at 700, you'll still get the rent will still be 65,000.
Yeah.
So you're now getting close to 9.5%, which is really, or 9%, which is really good. Bear in mind that whatever you get, you'll have to pay service charge also. So it's 9% gross, not net. So that's how I go about it. So right now, what you can do is you go look at the rent in this area. You times that by 10 or 12, and then you look for studios that are available in that price point. That's going to be your strategy now. So instead of Sports City, look at JDC, look at Motor City. I'll show you a great example of a place that might actually give you this exact criteria, right? So have you heard of Discovery Gardens?
Yeah, but just by name.
But just by name. That's fine. That's fine. So if we say Discovery, the cool thing about Discovery Gardens is it's not a very glamorous area, but it is a reasonably green area that is right near the metro station. What do you do when you're renting a studio or a one-bedroom to someone who's tight on a budget? He's not or she is not going to want to buy a car. They're going to want to use the metro to save money.
Yeah.
Be next to a metro. Better rentability. And tomorrow when you want to sell it, it's going to sell a lot faster than something that's out in the desert. When they expand the metro, I'm sure that we can buy in more areas. But if you want to absolutely... The point of this is to come up with a set of criteria that will make sure that you're okay in bad times. In good times, we're all happy.
Yeah, of course.
But in bad times, that's the key. So, number one, find rentals and discount it by, I'm going to say 20% to be very, very critical. But you can go easy on yourself. If you're not finding anything, go 15% instead and try and find something, right? Two, area must be popular/premium. Either one, preferably two. Discovery Gardens is not a premium area. It is very, very popular. So it is on, basically it's near Al Furjan, next to Ibn Battuta Mall.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, it's
so it's on
going towards the south.
Yeah.
On Sheikh Zayed, right? So popular/premium. This one is popular, but it's not premium.
Yeah, but then if you look in the future with the Al Maktoum Airport.
See, now we're talking. And the next thing is the building itself in that area, is it popular / premium or both? Discovery Gardens is an area, but it's basically one set of buildings built by one developer, not premium, but very popular, always rents out because there are not one, but 2 or 3 metro stations along that stretch in walking distance. I cannot express how important that might be to someone who is renting it out. So, and if you go to Discovery Gardens and you look to buy an apartment, which you will find is a 1,000 square foot, 1 bedroom for 650. That was listed 26 days ago. So it's not that long ago. It's not unreasonable that you might get it now. Now, if you go down to rental income, you're getting an average of 60,000, sometimes 45,000. So I personally would assume that I'm getting no more than 50,000 instead of 60,000 because I have reduced it by 48,000, reduced it by 20%, right? Times 12. So what is 48,000 times 12? About 550-ish. I'm ballparking. Don't comment about the math here. 650 is what he's asking.
Yeah.
550 if you get, you are absolutely insulated against everything. So right now, you buy this, he won't say 550 is okay. He'll say no less than 600 or 610. Okay, you buy it at 600. You'll probably get a rent of 660,000, which means you're getting a 10% return minus service charges. You can probably be damn sure that at the bottom of the market, unless it's a really bad market like COVID, bottom of the market, it's probably not going to go less than 45,000, which means it's still at about 8% net return, right? Roughly speaking, or 7%. You insulated yourself against bad times. You're getting 7% in a bad market. That is very, very good. You're getting 10% in a normal market. That's great. The thing about this is I don't expect high capital appreciation. Maybe you'll get some, but I won't bank on it. This is an older set of apartments like you mentioned, and traditionally I have seen that it's been within this price range. So what is the other way to do it? When it comes to Dubai, they literally tell you what they're going to do. They have built a metro to the Expo City. They have a new airport at DWC right next to Expo City, and they've just earmarked a bunch of money to revamp the expansion of that airport, which means in 10 years, not immediately, but in 10 years, they're going to be moving in that direction. There are already developments happening and there are already people living there. If you buy a place there, it's going to be cheaper. And if you can still do what I told you, see what the rent is, knock it down by about 20%, get it at that price, then even that place is going to be insulated against bad times, except now you can even look at capital appreciation, right? Yeah. So this is broadly the strategy I want you to focus on. So can we just rehash what we just discussed? First things first, find an area that's popular / premium. Sports City, great. JVC, maybe a bit better. Discovery Gardens, also a bit better. How do you find out whether it's popular or not? There is information available online as to the population density in different areas in Dubai.
Okay.
You should go and look that up. Absolutely.
Haven't thought of that.
Another easy way is go to the land department website and look at rental transactions and just look at different areas and say which had more rental transactions and which had fewer. If it's more, then there's a reason people are going there. Maybe a few schools opened up, maybe a mall opened up. I don't know why, but popular is popular. Step 2, check out the rent in that area, discount it by about 20%, times 12 that, and see if basically we're aiming for 8% return in a bad market. That will be your purchase price that you should aim for, that you should be offering to people, and try your very best to get that price. Next, you look for an area that fits some of these criteria, but is also potential for the future. However, this is something I would do, but it's not something I would freely tell other people to do, because now we're getting into the area of speculation. You already have a place.
Yeah.
So you can afford to speculate a little bit, right? And you're saying that whatever the outgoing is for this price is going to be a lot less than even 30-40% of your salary. So we know that you're in a good place. Maybe not everyone is. Maybe that's just because you are 23 years old and looking to buy your first property, in which case, don't speculate. Don't go out to where the market is going to be. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that if you've got a lot of extra cash saved up for some reason. But the safe bet is to go with a popular place that has remained popular. And that's basically it.
Yeah.
Find the rent, lower the rent, assume a worse rent, and then times that by 12, and that's your offer price. Then go through all the listings, call up the brokers. This is the price I want it at. I can do that deal immediately if you give me this price or the closest to that. But when that deal comes, call me first. And basically what you've done is you've managed your risk. You're getting in. Now we don't care what the buy is. Now we don't care if it goes up, great. If it stays flat, still great. You're creating passive income. I set up some very challenging criteria and I stuck to those criteria and I didn't waver. Basically, after that, you keep doing that over and over again and you'll develop a real estate portfolio that's going to insulate you and create a lot of wealth in the future, 5, 10, 15 years down the line. The one thing I'll say is do not expect to flip it quickly. If you are in COVID or if you're off plan in a market that's just bouncing off of a COVID drop, sure, you could think of it that way. But more often than not,
I don't think that, you're going to be rich in 2 years.
The key thing is to not look at a short-term prospect, which you're not. Clearly, you bought a property, you're buying another property, you're building a portfolio. This is very good. This is long-term. I cannot express to all of you how good that mindset is. And above all else, you're insulating yourself from a market downfall. So this is great. Now all we need to do is find some options for you and we can have a conversation about that another time. But that's what I want you to do. I want you to go through it this way. And start narrowing down some properties, and then we can discuss that further. Is that, I hope, is that a roadmap that makes sense to you?
No, definitely all this with the rent multiplied by 12. I haven't even thought about that. So I think
look, I mean, there's no one way to do it. There are multiple ways to do it. This is just the safest case scenario. You might buy a property that's more expensive if you like it. And I'm not going to say you won't make money, but this is what I would do if I want the safest possible way to go about it.
I saw a quote today saying something like, don't buy with your heart, buy with your head. So, because now I know when I bought my first property, I really loved the area, although at that time was not really developed, but I really liked it and I saw potential. And 5, almost 6 years later.
That was a risky move, I'll be honest. Your first property in Maidan, back when Maidan was just building, was a bit of a risky move because we were seeing a high on the market. So I would not have recommended that you do that back then. But because you've paid it off, that risk no longer exists, and the area has bounced back. So now you're okay. Now actually you can take risk, but I'm still going to say this is the safest way to do it. You follow this, and you will just rest easy in the future. Even if tomorrow you lose your job, God forbid, which can happen to all of us. Let's face it, we're all expats here. It can happen. This way you're not worried. You just leave, you go home to your home country, it'll keep renting out, no problem. Even at lower rent, no problem. And the one thing is your mortgage will continue and your rent might come down, but that's okay because remember what I said earlier? Make sure your monthly installments are no more than 25 to 30% of your income. That means you've been saving money, which means in a bad market, you put some of that money back into the mortgage, you reduce your monthly installments, and suddenly even a lower rent is still maintaining a property, which means we're achieving one thing, the only thing that's important. In a bad market, we do not want to be distressed sellers. We want to buy from distressed sellers. We do not want to be distressed sellers.
And then the next step, need to find a good real estate agent.
Well, we can help you with that as well. I know some fairly straightforward people, but estate agents are estate agents. Always will be estate agents.
It's a business at the end of the day.
You have to not get swept up in the sales talk. Stick to these figures. You can afford a little bit leeway here. That would be crazy. If I'm saying instead of 650, offer him 550 and he says no 600, that's still, he's coming halfway. That's a good sign. But try and get that 550 or 570. That just gives you a lot of leeway. So we can hook you up with the real estate agents as well, no problem. Or you can just talk to anyone. Feel free to contact me and we can just, off camera also, we'll just chat if you come up with options. We can have a value analysis of those options. And if the people are interested, we can go through those options on camera and I can, bring you my analysis of those things as well. Sounds good. Hopefully I've created some value for you here.
Definitely. There are quite a few good points that I need to think more in depth with my head, not with my heart.
Always with the head, not with the heart.
True.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for being here, Gabriela.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
And thank you all for tuning in to basically the first video of this channel. We'll do more of these and
that was
we'll
fun.
bring you the best information we can. Thank you. I'm glad it was fun. Well, if I've made any mistakes in my analysis in the future, and this will happen, I will point those out as well. So that if I've made mistakes, you don't have to. And the idea is to have the conversation. So if you think there are better ways to do this, comment down below and we can have that conversation as a community, because we're all in it to achieve some level of financial independence and basically not be completely dependent on just our salaries.
True.
Right? All right. I'll see you in the next one. Hit that subscribe button. Bye.
Bye.